Although God created the universe,
Yep.
he didn't play a role in the first 10,000 years of humanity.
Yeah. So if you go to Adam and Eve, which is really an interesting place to go before you go anywhere else, what was God's picture of humanity? And you see it in Adam and Eve. They live without shame. They live without fear. They live without contention. God literally gave them the right to name everything. And then when sin entered the picture, the first thing they did was put on stuff to cover themselves up. This is the introduction of shame and guilt and what sin can do to a soul. So when it comes to what people were doing, I think I look at it with this time in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve were living in this beautiful picture of what, the world, humanity could be if God was, who we think he is for many. And then sin happens. And now the trickle effect is where we sit right now. That's how simple I keep it. So I don't know what the cavemen were doing. I don't know what dinosaurs had wings. I don't know if people have always been jealous or angry, but I do know the original picture was one without shame and without guilt and without fear. And that's why.
But that doesn't raise a red flag at all.
Well, what?
Like the fact that, again, like the first 10,000 years of humanity, Homo sapiens, there was no direction, there was no religion, there were no pillars of guidance.
One of my theories on this is that it's the advent of conscious awareness of like human reflection, understanding, I think, therefore I am. We recognize that, okay, this thing I'm doing is bad, right? When deer in the wilderness walk around, they eat, they pee, they poop, and they have babies.
Yeah.
They're living, but they're not consciously aware that maybe the stud bull shouldn't be walking around sleeping with all the little does in the club.
Mad does.
Yeah,
Mad does.
but is one of my theories is that Jesus was kind of this first real conscious uprising, a mega upheaval of conscious awareness of what makes a human being able to recognize what it takes to live a better life.
So it was Martin Luther King.
Sure, but there's people throughout all of antiquity that have had elevated abilities to think and have awareness and understanding of what is happening, because not everyone's smart. Cavemen, they probably didn't know very much, right?
Yeah.
They knew make fire, kill the animals, make babies, stay warm. But eventually over time, they started to learn things and have an understanding of who they are. Is this right? Is this wrong? And where to go from there.
Well, also too, like discounting the caveman's ability to follow God is simply based on the belief that Jesus as a vehicle for God was the start point. And I don't think that you're saying that that's not the case. I mean, God existed since the beginning, and how he manifested himself prior to Jesus Christ as a vehicle could have been multiple different formats. Could have been epitaphs on caves. It could have been Adam and Eve's children passing the word on of what they saw in the Garden of Eden. I mean, Jesus as a vehicle was completing the trilogy as we know it has a very set time frame. But before that, I'm sure there was something. So, or there could have been. I don't know.
Yeah, there are people who try to dumb down Christianity. So the Bible says God created the earth in 7 days. There's different theories of what those days represented, how many years. But why our faith sometimes, why I think it'd be helpful to, if you want to stay there and get into that kind of minutia, and it's important, can be important, or we can go here to what we know for sure and work our way back. And let's talk about your thought life. Let's talk about that. Right, hold on. And then kind of sometimes work your way back to some of these, facts and some of these eras and some of these theologies that can often trip people up as well. So I'm all for it. I just think sometimes it's like people want to talk. Like one time a guy was like, "Carl, I will not be a Christian unless you can prove to me that dinosaurs are real." I'm like, okay, well, do you want to talk about the trial that you're in right now? And what happens if the judge says you're guilty? And what the point was
working on things that you can fix.
We got a fire in our lap right now, and you want to talk about that star.
Why do you want to know if why you just
bring him to the museum?
What's that?
I'm just curious, why did dinosaur equal Christianity?
Because that's often what people will come to me with first. They'll just, because they think that we don't think about that, we don't care about that.
So he thought dinosaurs were fake?
He thought that all Christians did. Right.
He thought that all Christians thought that dinosaurs didn't exist.
Right. So everyone has one of those red herring questions where like, if you can tell God to move that rock, I will come to church. And it's like, bro, it's not going to happen. Like, he's moved a couple of rocks before. And
you should
didn't
give
care.
it a shot. You should give it a shot next time and just hope that it would happen. Be like, oh yeah, you want to see that happen, and just point at it, and maybe, dude, maybe the rock just taught you.
I've tried. I'll try. We'll try later.
One time he's like, yeah, I got you, bet.
The Christian party trick. All right, who wants to see something cool? It's like, yeah.